Good morning, guys, and welcome to the Chaotic Gardener. It's a beautiful day today. We are taking a little walk up to the top of my garden, which is a little bit overgrown with weeds at the moment. We have had a significant amount of rain, so all the flowers are doing well, but the weeds are also it is currently load shedding, so I haven't had a moment to get the mower out and tame the garden, but we will get there. I wanted to show you the top of the garden here. There we go. There's a very grumpy hardy-dar moaning because I've unintentionally made it fly out of its nest so that I could show you that nest up there. In case you can't see it, there. So for a while now we've had hardy-dars nesting in this tree. Usually they nest over here, and they don't build the most wonderful looking nests in my opinion, but they seem to have moved further back, and I think we've got babies there because the adult hardy-dar has been sitting on the nest for quite some time. So today I have been in and out of the pool whilst I've been weeding. I wanted to share my random efforts of composting around my garden as well, and maybe sift some of the compost into a wheelbarrow and see how good it's looking. I am not a traditional composter at this stage in my life. No, I need to get on that and improve my techniques, and that is something that I'm hoping to spend some time in the December holidays setting up and getting better at. But I tend to have this random system of putting cuttings and weeds and things into containers that are either there for decorative purposes or supposed in-ground worm farms that I've tested out and haven't kind of worked. So I'm just going to show you a few of those things and then maybe tip one or two of them out and see what we have, if we have got some nice gold. This huge mess at the very top of our garden is years and years of leaves and grass cuttings and weeding and trees being chopped down here, and it is a hot mess. So I'm sure there is some compost gold underneath all this top vegetation that we need to get to, but for now that's a little bit more physical than I'm capable of sifting through, so I'm going to go and tackle some of the smaller composting containers I have. So this container was placed here for aesthetic purposes, just to be a nice focus point in the garden, and it has been quite handy because as I'm weeding around here I just put the weeds inside there and water it in every now and then, and I'm quite convinced that it's also got some very, very rich compost at the bottom. So we will also empty that and start again. Look at that. Lots of grubs in there. Ew, I don't do grubs. But I know that they're there for the right reasons and they're nice and healthy. So, look at that. Wiggle, wiggle. Just taking out the big, I guess having gloves on might help. It's not my favorite part of gardening. So this is all fairly new stuff that has been put in. Obviously this is the top section. You can still compost more, so I'm just gonna and you've got bugs crawling over your feet. My understanding is that even when composting, if you have seeds, like sometimes weed seeds and stuff, if it has composted correctly, so probably more the soil at the bottom of the container, those seeds should have died off in the whole process and you shouldn't have any issues. Those grubs. Ooh, look at that. Sure. Now that is good. Any big chunky pieces that I'm finding, I'm just going to go and pop back into the container, which I've now filled with the grass clippings. But look at that. So holds together nicely, but it's still fluffy, and my understanding is that that's how you want your soil to be. Beautiful. And I made that without much fuss, just by putting random clippings from here in the garden. Lots of tomato stems are in here, and some of the courgettes, even some weeds from around the area. So I'm quite chuffed with that. I like this method of no mess, no fuss. It's the slow composting method, I think, or the cold composting method, something to that effect. All my insides contract when I touch a bug. Oh. Okay, just gonna pop that over. That makes me happy. Look at that grub. Oh, there's so many of them in there. So I think I'm going to tip it over into my courgette bed. That blooms on my Sally Holmes. The whole of last season we had no blooms, and now There's been some blooming there, some down there, some around the corner over there. But roses fascinate me, how they start off one color, and then while they still keep that color very faintly, they lighten up as they age. So pretty. So I'm hoping I'm going to tame this and put some wiring up on the wall. Let's move back here. So I'm going to put wiring across the wall, some nice firm wiring, drill in some screws and wire up there that I can attach all the canes to and train it. Ideally I'd like it to grow across the top of the window and along the bottom of the window, so we'll see what happens. And then wouldn't that be nice if those flushes are just all over there framing the window? That would be divine. So that is the hope. And I'd almost given up on that Sally Holmes. I was ready to pull it out and just go plant it somewhere at the back garden and just leave it to its own device. But it seems to be hopefully doing its thing this year. So this is one of my larger compost spaces, intended for tomato cuttings and things like that, and small twigs. It's kind of gone over the space that was provided. When I put this construction together, I failed to realize that I was putting the pallets together the wrong way around, and couldn't understand why I couldn't cable tie them until much later, and I realized I should have turned them round, but by then it was too late. Everything was already piled high with stuff, so this definitely needs to come apart and be turned. I think there's some lovely compost down the bottom there. I will take what's in there and put it on there, fix this contraption, and then pile what's over there back into there, and maybe build another one there so that we can keep flipping. So that's my plan for the December holidays for this space. Everything looks just terrible at the moment with all the weeds, so this space is looking very shocking. And here I have a random bag full of kitchen scraps. So I do have a bucket in my kitchen where I put all my kitchen scraps, carrots and tomatoes and so on and so forth, potato skins and all the rest of it. And I have somebody who comes and helps me during the week, obviously, and I've been wondering where she's been putting all the stuff, because I haven't had seen her to tell her what to do with it. And I came out here the other day and she's found this bag and she's been putting the scraps in there. So there was soil in here, I think weeds and stuff that I had just not got to put in the bigger compost heap at the time, and so she's been putting that in there, which I think might have decomposed quite quickly, some of it. So that's going to be one of the first things that we tip out. I have a nice sieve here, and we can sieve and see if we've got some nice compost to go and put on the veggie bed. Oh my word, guys, this next bit I have filmed in slow-mo for some bizarre reason. So a whole bunch of nothing is happening, but wait for it, there are some butternut seeds that I found inside the packet. I'm going to plant those up in some of the soil that falls out of the bag that I'm about to put into the wheelbarrow, but this is a very long, slow process because slow-mo, of course, allows for this process to go very slowly. And finally, after a very long wait, I managed to get the bag into the wheelbarrow and tip it out so that you can see all the compost in there. It is still quite wet and a whole bunch of stuff still needs to decompose, so I decided to just leave that in the wheelbarrow and let it stand for a little while longer and do its cold composting thing. And hopefully we'll have some wonderful nourishing soil for the garden super soon. There you go, it's looking quite healthy, so soon it shall be ready to go in the garden. Well guys, due to my videoing disaster of slow-mo, I'm going to end my video there. Thank you again whilst I plant these butternut seedlings very slowly. Thank you so much for spending time with me, for sharing my composting craziness. As I mentioned, I will be improving on my methods and getting things in a more structured situation, but I do think I will always, in my chaotic gardening, have little pockets and buckets around the garden that just make the weeding and maintenance easier for me, and leave some areas of the garden where there will always be cold composting happening. It's a no mess, no fuss situation for me, and it just makes sense. Again, if you want to continue to share in my chaos, and grow and learn with me, please subscribe and follow me every week. Have a good week, and we'll see you again next week.